terms of the direction for the study of total compensation to the commission director's resolution. So I think we're fine not to have the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor of passing by indefinitely SJR 247, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. All right, Senator Ruff, you also had another one, SJR 248, to study allocation of lottery prize money to localities. And Senator Hanger will move that SJR 248 be passed by indefinitely. Senator Carrico seconds. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
2 noes. Sasson Ruff. Senator Daines. SJR 266 on page 2 of your blue sheets. Senator Daines, this is another one of those JLARC ones, and again, if people coming in.
I have I was listening, Mr. Chair, and I'm wondering if you think that, this came from a constituent, we have, Senate Bill 1191 that, Senator Sturtevant had, was addressing a similar issue that deals with assisted, living. And I was wondering if maybe you might, by letter, look at, if not, if a study is not one that you want to take up, maybe send to the joint health commission?
I certainly think that we could probably pen a letter to the Joint Health Commission that this was an issue that was presented, and we were not asking JLARC to do any studies, and if it works into their work plan for other things, that they would take a look. I think we won't direct them, but we can come up with a letter to ask them to, if they have the ability to do that.
Yes, because I've heard this on behalf of a constituent that lost their mom, and as I said, Senator Sturtevant has something that deals with penalty, and that's been moving, and that might be sufficing, but since I was asked to bring this here, I have, listening to what you said already, I think if a letter, that would be something that I could express that we're still concerned about, further concerns.
That sounds very reasonable.
Okay.
Senator Ruff moves and Senator Hanger seconds that SJR 266 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. That's passed by indefinitely, and we'll get together, we'll come up with a draft of the letter asking them to look. SJR 274, Senator Obenshane's. This is another JLARC review for Department of Elections. And again, with all these, this is certainly one of the areas that we're going to be talking about over the summer, if this is appropriate, JLARC, because it is one that a number of people have had concerns about, but we're going to pass it by definitely this point.
So moved.
Motion is that SJR, been made and properly seconded, SJR 274 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that is passed by indefinitely. Senator Wagner's SJR 297 is another JLARC to study coastal flooding. This was, the House took up this motion is to pass by indefinitely Joint Resolution 297. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. That motion is agreed to. That finishes the JLARC section. In the next section, you'll see in the blue sheet, there are 3 bills dealing with crime commission studies. SJR 229, you've already, patrons asked that it be stricken. The next is SJR 255, Senator Dance. This is your crime commission study the indigent defense system at the appellate level. It appears from my notes that there was no similar house containing it. Put it into the proper form. Senator Ruff is going to move that we, on page 1, line 38, after 30, we strike 2016 and insert 2017. And do that again on line 40 after of the, on line 40 after of the, strike 2017 and put in 2018. All in favor of that amendment to change the dates, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that amendment is approved.
Virginia Indigent Defense Commission to carry out the Commonwealth's constitutional obligation to provide attorneys for indigent persons accused of crimes. The creation of the Virginia Indigent Defense Commission was a step toward a fair justice system in our Commonwealth. However, many Virginians are unable to afford a lawyer and unable to receive a court-appointed lawyer due to the absence of a public defender office in their jurisdiction, and therefore are left vulnerable, underrepresented, and are systematically deprived of their Sixth Amendment right to the effective assistance of counsel. So, of course, I was asked to bring this forward to see if there was any feasibility in doing
A study.
a study.
Senator Norman, I know you have some purview over the Crown Commission.
Well, I just happen to be one of the members who follows orders and directions, but I will say that currently, with the staffing levels of the Crime Commission, we do not have the capacity to absorb any additional studies beyond that which they have.
I think I understand what that means.
You're almost clairvoyant sometimes.
Senator Gates, I know you and I have both thought that this is something we might need to look at, so don't give up, but
Thank you, sir.
not this year.
Thank you, sir. I'll bring you back.
Senator Norman moves that SJR 255 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. That motion is PBI. The next is SJR 291, Senator Servels. He is next door in the Agriculture Commission, but he has aggressively advocated his position to many of us on the commission. But I think the Senator Norman is going to make the same motion
I'd like to pass it on.
because it's Crown Commission study and make it something more ministerial than actual.
Second.
Motion is that SJR 291 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that is agreed to.
You ready for me?
Next, we're going to the Joint Commission on Healthcare Studies, Senator Dance. This extends the expiration of the Joint Commission on Healthcare from 2018 to 2022. This is Senate Bill 1043.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I hope you like this one a little bit better. In '92, when the commission was established, to continue the work of the Commission on Healthcare for all Virginians, the sunset date of July 1, 1997 was included. The sunset date has been extended 4 times, resulting in the current sunset date of July 1, 2018. It has been the practice of the commission to vote on the issue of sunset date to allow legislation to be considered.
We'll help you out. Senator
Okay.
Hangers will move, Senator Ruff seconds
Okay.
that SB 1043 be adopted. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, this is one you actually do have to press your button for. All in favor, please signify by saying, by voting green.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. Thank you, Councilman Lance.
All right. 13, nays 0.
Thank you,
Passes.
Mr. Chair. I'm
Thank you,
finished.
Senator Jennings. Senator Hanger, you have also, good thing if that one passed, or you might not have even gotten to yours.
Oh, yeah?
SJR 257, Joint Healthcare Commission. I'll tell you, there's a senator provision somewhere else that did not fare well.
Maybe I need to figure out something.
You might need to figure out another way to go there.
Okay, that's good.
Okay? You want to work on another way? Okay. So we're gonna, Senator Hanger is gonna come up with another creative way on Sunday to make this happen. So with that, Senator Ruff will move that we gently pass this by for the year. All in favor of SJR 257 being PBI, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. That is agreed to. Senator Carrico, SJR 285, and there's a technical amendment because.
285.
Yeah, this is SJR 285 before your blue sheet, and this language spells out Georgia Commission of Healthcare instead of just having abbreviations. Senator Ruff moves, Senator Norman seconds the amendment. All in favor of that Senator Caravan.
This was a part of the discussion on the Joint Commission on Healthcare that we discussed, Chair, that we need to study the sustainability of the PMP program and a funding source for the future of that operation, because there's a sunset that occurs in short order.
All right, anybody from the Joint Commission here? Come on, if your section group is, if you get to it, be lurking around, because we might be calling on you. Y'all have the ability to take a look at the impact of these. Yes, sir. All right.
We can.
Okay. Senator Carrico moves, Senator Ruff seconds that SJR 285 is amended be agreed to. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that is agreed to. Senator Eben in here?
Yes.
Senator Eben, SJR 296.
Yes.
Another Joint Commission on Healthcare to study the needs of older adults who are incarcerated and being released from prison.
Yeah, this is supported by the Department of Corrections, and this population has unique needs. And we know that their cost is higher. The medical expenditures are now accounting for 16% of the corrections budget. There are challenges when they lack health insurance upon release. There's a criminal background barriers for nursing home applicants. And older inmates may require special incarceration reentry needs. I could go on further, but DOC supports this, and it's a growing issue. And I can answer questions if you'd like, Mr. Chairman.
Any member of the committee have any questions? Senator Eben, I will tell you, in our Public Safety Subcommittee on Finance, this is one of the areas where we've taken some very directed focus, is healthcare, and particularly the population in DOC that is sicker, regardless of their age, candidly, but sicker, and because the costs are very significant. And as I think you indicated in some of your remarks, they are the cost of a very small subset of the entire Department of Corrections population is exceedingly high. I would say this year we had some committee meetings at the Department of Corrections facilities, and I would think that this year we are going to have, it is going to be healthcare, and Department of Corrections is going to be a focus of that subcommittee. I'd really rather finance look at it. We're happy to invite you and give you notice of when those are.
Okay, and I would
like to.
Sure, and I would just point out, this is also outside of corrections upon release, which is in some cases a bigger issue when these folks get to the community, and how to keep them out of emergency room care if we can avoid that. So I don't know if that's within the purview of what you're already studying.
Well, for us to figure out some decisions, we need to figure out when or when not might be appropriate for that release time to come, and that's part of what we're going to be talking about as well. So I think it's better for us to deal with some of the threshold issues, and once we get those tackled, then we can deal with how we implement some of those threshold issues, but we'll have to come up with those initially.
Thank you.
Does any committee members have a question or a motion? Motion is that SJR 296 be passed by indefinitely, but we'll notify Senator Eben to make sure you're included in some of those committee meetings that will be ongoing over the summer. All in favor of that, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. And that motion is agreed to pass by. All right, Senator Eben, you happen to be next on the next section. These are joint subcommittee or commission studies or actions. So all the bills in this group will be in reference to that. Senate Bill 1550.
Yes, I believe that you approved this in a previous year. I wasn't even in the room, so I'll try and be brief. This is for a joint commission on the commemoration of Centennial of Women's Right to Vote. And what it would do is, as we approach 2020, the anniversary of ratification.
So, Sir Evan, I'm
Yeah.
gonna help you out. You're right, we have, voted on this in the past, and, I think one of the things is it needs, because it does have a almost $11,000 fiscal impact, it does need to go to finance, so, but I think we can move it there quickly. So Senator Hanger moves, Senator Norman seconds that SB 1550 be reported and re-referred to Committee on Finance. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Well, actually, you gotta vote. All in favor of that, press your green button. Carrico? He's there. Reeves.
We're discussing important legislation.
All right. That bill is agreed to, reported and re-referred to the Committee on Finance. All right, Senator Hanger, you have SJR 278.
Thank you, Chairman. SGR 278 would establish a joint subcommittee. I know there's going to be a reluctance to establish two subcommittees, but this is one that I feel is important. In fact, we've diverted a number of bills that we from the Finance Committee this year in anticipation that we could refer them to this joint subcommittee. It establishes a joint subcommittee to study local government fiscal stress for 2 years, to study taxing authorities of local governments, including the disparity between city and county tax authority, local responsibilities for service delivery, state mandated or high priority programs, causes of fiscal stress, the current state tax system, including the future of the Carter tax, potential financial incentives and other government reforms to encourage increased regional cooperation and consolidation of services. Mr. Chairman, there is, if we're going to put this in posture to consider for passage, there's an amendment that I would propose on line 42. If that's in order now. After services, I want to insert the words, attention shall be paid to all programs paid from state or local funding to include formulas for the composite index, the Children's Services Act funding, and the CSP funding.
Sir Hanger, I'd like that's pretty expansive, so you want to move to add in composite index, state and
The Children's Services Act.
CSA funding.
Community Services Board. Right. It's a large task, no question, Mr. Chairman, but they all have to be examined. Mr. Chairman, I would say they all have to be examined if we're going to look at what's causing the disparities. So I think, not that it will be easy to come to solutions on those, but I think all those issues have to be put on the table in order to address the underlying problems of fiscal stress as we run appropriately state services and the local ability to pay.
Senator Norman.
I would say about the only thing I could think of that might be more controversial than opening up the composite index might be the highway transportation.
We put that on our 2 if you want to.
Sir Hanger, I can only speak for myself, but I probably have some comfort level with how it was originally drafted. I probably have some less comfort level.
In being so detailed about what I might think about.
On touching some of those other areas where some of us who represent rural jurisdictions have some concerns about how that could negatively come back and bite us.
Right.
So,
But if you would prefer, I'm looking to advance this so we can actually examine these issues. So if you're more comfortable without that amendment, I'll withdraw it.
all right. So in a unamended form, we have before us SJR 278.
I would move the unamended.
Second.
Motion has been made that SJR 278, which creates a joint subcommittee of House and Senate members to study local government fiscal stress, be agreed to in an unamended form. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that motion is agreed to. Senator Deeds, 279, last one.
and I understand the House passed by all these resolutions, but Chairman Jones was in the room and he's the one that suggested that we continue this, the Joint Commission on Mental Health study for 2 more years, and that's all this does. The commission will expire December 1st of this year, and we are at least a year or 2 away from getting in a position where we come close to finishing our work.
Well, Senator Deeds, what about if we made it 2018 and sent it down the hall and gave you a shot to make your case?
I would appreciate that.
Okay. Senator Hanger moves that it be amended to, instead of be 2019, be 2018. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. The SJR is before you to extend the study on mental health services joint subcommittee to 2018. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Thank you very
And
much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Because they've told us pretty directly that you might spend a lot of energy and not much result, but good luck. Next, Senator Hanger, you want to take yours up? Is the next study, Senate Bill 1007. This would require the Department of Behavioral Health and DMAS to study the use of involuntarily mental commitment funds.
Mr. Chairman, it appears because of the posture of the House that needs to look at it. Has that fine definition.
Motion is that SB 1007 be passed by indefinitely. All have to vote on this one. Please press your green buttons. All right.
It's 14-0.
Ayes 14, no 0, the motion carries. Next one is Senate Bill 1078, Senator Edwards. This would direct the Department of Behavioral Health to develop a plan to expand Catawba Hospital. Senator Edwards.
He stepped out.
All right, we're going to come back to that in a very few minutes so I can find Senator Edwards. Next one is Senate Bill 1179. Senator Chafin, is he in? Nope. Odenshine, Parker. Senate Bill 1557, Senator Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Senate Bill 1557. There has been some discussion over the last several years about community health workers. There's not been a lot of progress made on this. What this would do is require a formal establishment of a work group that will be meeting informally on this issue, and to come up with recommendations by October 15th of this year as to how we should proceed as it relates to this particular issue. There is one line item amendment that I would suggest, which is on line 10, to strike the word professionals. The Department of Health has been involved in this process. Department of Health Professionals has tangential. The Department of Health is the one that's the lead entity on this.
Yes, sir.
So, Parker, can you just make sure we all know what a community health worker is? Is that defined somewhere?
That's part of the problem. I mean, there is a definition, but there is no specific definition anywhere in code or anything. A community health worker is basically a layperson who's been involved in healthcare services in some way, who is involved in the community and advocating for people to do the right types of things for their health, or working with their different types of populations in the community. And part of what we need to do is figure out exactly what we want it to be. But right now, they are very limited on what they can do, partly because the reimbursement system is not set up with their health.
Sir Parker, I guess one of the concerns I have is that we don't know what a community health worker is. We're going to ask for a report of the benefits and risk of those individuals, but we don't even know what the universe of types of individuals we're asking about is.
Mr. Chair, this basically what it requires the stakeholder group and the Department of Health to, in essence, define what a community health worker is, and then to provide the assessments on those types of things, including certification, what types of options there might be. I'm a former high-level person in the Department of Health, working with the advocates and the people involved in this service.
Committee operates by, what's the amendment to strike professions?
Strike professions on line 10.
On line 10. Motion is to strike the word professions on line 10. All in favor of that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, it's agreed to. The bill is before you that would direct the department to bring stakeholders together, examine risk and benefits of a group that we're not yet sure who they are.
That is correct. If you get that definition, move.
Mr. Chairman, I move to pass it.
Motion is that Senate Bill 1557 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please signify by vote on your little sheet.
Ayes 11, noes 3.
Ayes 11, no 3, failed to pass. So Parker, I do think maybe at some point having a discussion about who they are before we direct them to study what their impact is might be a good idea.
Okay, thank you very much.
All right, so Edwards, you came back in. Catawba Hospital, Senate Bill 1078.
Mr. Chairman,
I'll tell you, Sir Edwards, the physical impact on this is $100,000.
pretty good. What this idea, the idea is this, there are about 270 beds in Catawba. Catawba's in good shape, 110 beds being used. Between Marion and Stanton is a long way. Catawba is being used as a teaching hospital. I can go on and on and on about the things that being the benefit of Catawba. But the idea here is people who have acute problems come to Catawba. Some are court order, some are geriatric, and often if they have an acute problem after a period of time, of course, they don't need in-hospital care, but they do need what some people call a step-down unit, intermediate care. They still need some kind of care. There's no place to put them anywhere, and Catawba is there, and it can be easily used and turned into a 40 unit, for example, step-down intermediate care for mentally ill people. So the need is there. Everybody I've talked to says the need is there. And all we're doing is asking for the department, they can do it in-house, to look at seeing what can be done about using existing beds that are already there, in good shape, physically. In terms of capital needs, it's very minimal. They do need some, of course, staff to take care of these approximately 40 people. So that's all we're asking for the department to take a look at using Catawba more so than it is now with the step-down unit, which they've indicated to me they need. That's all it is. And they could do it in-house. I don't think it costs $100,000 really, but whatever it is.
Senator Norman.
I applaud what you're trying to do, and I expect that there is a need there, but Senator Hanger and I could share with you the multiple needs that we've heard in every secretariat. It does have a fiscal impact when you do it this year, but it says $100,000.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator, the motion has been made and properly seconded. Senator Hanger.
I would just further say that last year, we included budget language to have the department, study the future of Piedmont and Catawba, and they were not able to do it in a timely manner. I think we still have that pending. We were able to contract for that, so I'm hopeful that they will be able to come up with some kind of recommendation for us.
Well, maybe this concept could roll into that study.
Well, we certainly, I think if they don't get it right between now and next year, I'm sure you'll be back because you're persistent. So, which we appreciate. So, with that, Senator Norman moves and Hanger seconds. That's Senate Bill 1078 be passed by indefinitely. Please vote on your device. noes, 1. Bill is passed by indefinitely.
Glad to have a good friend in
We have
Franklin
one
County.
friend up here. Senator Favola, SJR 233.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is well-intentioned, it still is well-intentioned, but it ran into a snag. What this would do is direct the VDOT actually to work in collaboration with the federal government to come up with an approach for going back and reassessing neighborhoods who at one time were assessed for noise impact related to a transportation project and didn't meet the criteria for noise abatement, but because of growth and additional traffic, they may now meet criteria for noise abatement. The problem is the federal government doesn't have a separate noise abatement program apart from projects that are current and already being planned. So for past projects, there is no federal money available. So VDOT has sent me a note to that effect. I will try another approach another time.
All right, so Senator Favola, thank you. I know that it got a buzzsaw of cost and personnel going through the process, and appreciate your efforts. And Senator Hanger's going to do this, Senator Norman second, that it be passed by indefinitely, and I know you'll keep trying in other ways to make that.
Okay, thank
All
you.
in favor of PBI SJR 233, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is passed by indefinitely. All right, Stanley, Edwards. Oh, Chafin, Senator Chafin. We were taking up 1179. Secretary of Health and Human Resources develop educational standards to treat opioid and pain use.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. This is a relatively simple little piece that goes along with some other opioid bills that are out there that have been carried. I have 3 of them. This is the last of 3, and there are companion bills being carried over in the House.
And Senator Chafin, do you have a amendment to strike out the school optometry?
There is an amendment, yes, sir.
So Senator Hanger moves, Senator Norman seconds, that on line 15, that the school of optometry be stricken after dental school. And then again, and then that we put in an emergency clause, because if we don't do that, there will not be enough time for the study between June and the reporting period. All in favor of those 2 amendments, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. That motion's agreed to. And Senator Chafin, that puts this bill in the same posture as one working from the other end of the building in this direction. The motion is that Senate Bill 1179 be reported. Everybody please vote on your voting device. Here it is.
Ayes 14, noes 0.
Senator Chafin, your bill is recorded.
Yes, sir.
We're going to get to that one in just a moment.
Thank you.
All right, Stanley, you're back. SJR 234. Request the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services study the availability of effective spay and neuter program, and DDAX has indicated that they think that it will cost approximately $50,000. So if it's to be reported, it's going to have to go to finance.
Mr. Chairman, I can assure you that it's well worth it. Basically, this study would be looking into the spay and neuter program that we have using the license plate funds. Other spay and neuter programs, low-cost spay and neuter programs, and even reflected of the bill that I'd offered before to offer vouchers in low-income areas to control cat and dog populations. Mr. Chairman, I just say very quickly, just in 2012, we euthanized in the Commonwealth of Virginia over 77,000 dogs and cats, and an average of about $200 to $300 an animal that is for capture, housing, euthanasia, and disposal. That's $16 million that we're overspending of state and local monies for something that, quite frankly, if we control those populations better, we can turn our kill public shelters into no-kill public shelters and find forever homes for these cats and dogs. So that's the stuff.
Senator Stanley, Senator Norman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SJR 234 be neutered. Could not resist. All in favor of that motion, please. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
2 noes.
No.
Reeves and Stanley.
Wagner, Vogel, Carrico, Stanley, Reeves.
The power of the proxy.
If it would have been reported, you would have been going to finance to find $50,000. All right, Senator Stanley, continuing your streak, SJR 254.
This is not only my favorite committee to sit on, it's my favorite committee to watch my bills go down on. So, yes, SJ's 254 basically was to create a study for the feasibility and benefits of a study for limited baccalaureate degrees in community colleges that offer certain workforce training and just certain areas in limited areas. And Mr. Chairman, I can help you out by telling you that in my conversations with those across the hall, they use the words no and way. So, Mr. Chairman, even if you agreed with me, and I think, especially where the top program is going to be was the South Side, with the Danville Community College and Patrick Henry and those, to see if we could have low cost 4-year baccalaureate degrees for those people that otherwise couldn't afford college. I basically know what's about to happen, so I'm just going to close my eyes.
Senator Norman moves, Senator Hanger seconds that SJR 254 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor? All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Like
No.
sign.
No.
All right, going to Senator Edwards, you have SJR 246. This requests that the Secretary of Transportation study the feasibility of an additional inland port in the Roanoke region and the New River Valley. Secretary is here. We have some indication that this would have a impact on finances, but we don't have an indication of what it would be. So maybe if we could hear from the Secretary. See the Secretary now? Okay. Anybody from the administration here?
Well, they must like it.
They must like it. Okay. Senator Edwards, give us your 30-second pitch of why this port shouldn't be located in Hanover.
Well, inland ports, historically in South Carolina, they're doing new one, another one. Historically created economic development. You're bringing in rails and roads, trucks. And they have one, we have one, of course, at Port Royal, and it's been beneficial there. This would also help the port dramatically, because you could bring in more cargo and have the final port of embarkation, disembarkation inland. That's where you would collect the customs. That's where you would connect the rails and the trucks, and it would create economic activity in that region. And there's plenty of space in Western Virginia, not just in Elliston, where it looks like that's not going to go forward, but Eastern Roanoke County, Dublin, which is love to have it there. You could go all the way down to Whitfield, where I-81 and 77 intersect. So having an inland port with rails and roads especially would have a tremendous impact economically in the region. Anywhere you have an exit on the interstate, first of all, you have service stations, then you have McDonald's, and then you have hotels. The next thing you know, you have a shopping center, and you have a development there. And so historically, anywhere you've had a port or where you have an exit now with the interstates, it creates economic development. It will be a tremendous benefit. One of the most important things you can do in West Virginia and South Virginia is to have an inland port that would help jumpstart the economy.
Senator Edwards, we did get some indication that the Port Authority thought that with the expansion plans that are currently undergoing, that they did not have the staff over the next 3 years to deal with this. So they did email our staff last night with that. Motion is that SJR 246 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. No. One no.
West Virginia still together.
Senator Hanger.
Just one is going for Dylan Vogel, Dylan Franco.
Senator Hanger 263. SJR 263, page 7.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is another one that is a very good measure, but the House so it's good that it be GBI without prejudice.
With no prejudice, Senator Norman moves and Senator Ruff seconds that SJR 263 be PBI. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The motion is agreed to. Senator Lewis's SJR 281 has been stricken, and we have SJR 292, Senator Servel's SHEV to study maintaining financial reserves at baccalaureate public universities, and this has at least a $30,000 fiscal impact. Did you bring your checkbook?
No, I didn't. I did give you a budget amendment so you guys can fill it out. I just thought before we wade into this whole discussion about reserves, we ought to have more information on what's going on in other states and what's appropriate. And there's a lot of concern about it, but I have no idea whether or not a 2.1 or a $1 billion reserve is appropriate or necessary. And I think we need information from other states before we wade into that. And that was what this was designed to do. So I don't have an idea how to pay for it other than you guys putting it on the budget.
The motion has been made and properly seconded by Senator Ruff that SGR 292 be passed by indefinitely. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign. The motion is agreed to. SJR 299, Senator Black's bill, after some conversation with D&D and Transportation Committee Chairman, Senator Norman moves, Senator Ruff seconds that SJR 299 be passed by indefinitely, but we send a letter to the Joint Commission on Transportation Accountability to ask if this is something that they can take a look at. All in favor of the motion to pass by indefinitely SJR 299, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign, and that is passed by indefinitely. Senator Hanger, SB 965.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. SB 965 actually is a bill that passes clarification of legislation that we passed last year dealing with soil and water conservation districts and the ability of people that sit on those boards, they and members of their families, to be able to participate in cost-decision, cost-share type programs, B&Bs.
Senator Hanger, this is one we thought we got it right last year, and then went back and looked at it. We didn't get it right, so we're taking another stab to get it right.
All right, just some clarification to the word.
Motion's been made that SB 965 be reported. Everybody, please vote on your voting list.
Ayes 14, no 0.
Ayes 14, no 0. SB 965 is reported. Senator Reeves, you're up next.
Good luck, man.
Page 9.
Good luck, buddy.
Senate Bill 1157.
Then we go down there and
Whichever.
got 5.
SB 1157 requires governing body of any association or group to file registration statement on who is engaging in lobbying on their behalf. Senator Reeves.
So, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, this came about from quite a few folks in my district that are tired of the tax dollars going to lobby against us here in the General Assembly. So this is a narrowly defined bill that would kind of segregate those dollars specifically and allocate those dollars appropriately to those subdivisions and allow a separate bank account to be labeled and designated solely for such purposes. So that the monies that are used for lobbying are separated from the public funds that are there. It does allow exemptions under 2.2-420, and those are the governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, media staffs, governor secretaries, their staffs, all those sort of things. Elected members of the General Assembly, legislative officials, and those employees, local elected officials acting in official capacity, any employee of a state executive agency acting in an official capacity, a newly elected appointed official or employee of the United States acting, and it goes on and it finishes that. Mr. Chairman, the Family Foundation, my understanding, is in support of this, so is the Press Association, to try to get some clarity on where our tax dollars are going, and this bill in subsection 186 to 208 clarifies that.
All right, is there anybody who wishes to speak ever so briefly in favor of this?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Reeves. Thank you, members of the committee. My name is Steve Rossi. I represent the Family Foundation of Virginia, and we do support this bill. Citizens have certain rights that we're endowed with, and governments are formed to ensure those rights, and yet repeatedly we've seen throughout the years here that local governments have used our own tax dollars to lobby against those rights. Most notably, like we had the Property Rights Amendment, when the Kelo decision was brought down in 2005, almost 20 states passed constitutional amendments for the next couple of years, but it took us in Virginia 7 years. And one of the main one of the main points of being the amendment getting blocked is from the local governments who are using our tax dollars to prohibit us from ensuring our own property rights, just as one example. And just as a quick parallel, as I made sure one time, this is very similar to union dues, when members have their union dues being used for objectives and political objectives they disagree with. So in a way, there's a parallel there, and I think most people find that objectionable, and I think most people find this objectionable.
Thank you for being with us.
Thank you, sir.
Senator Norman.
Mr. Chairman, I think this is a terrible idea. I understand what was just said, but I think also putting in perspective, most of the major metropolitan areas have individuals that lobby on their behalf, some internal, some external, and frequently they are in fact resisting legislation that does have an adverse impact on their citizens, whether it's financial or otherwise. And I think to try to constrain that is certainly not the best idea. And actually, there are two parts of it. One is, of course, prohibition against using public dollars, and the other is, as Senator Reeves mentioned, but I just don't think it's a great idea to try to constrain the major metropolitan areas that are the significant taxpayers and economic regions, even though they may oppose some legislation that groups like the Family Foundation may embrace.
Well, one of my very good bills is moving to the floor. So any other members have any questions or statements? Anybody else wish to speak for or against the bill? All right, hearing that, committee operates by motions. Motion has been made to pass the bill by indefinitely.
Second.
And properly seconded. All in favor of that motion, please press your device.
Ayes 8, noes 6.
Ayes 8, noes 6. The motion is agreed to. 1157 is passed by indefinitely.
Having voted on the prevailing sign, consider that vote.
Motion is been. What's that? The motion has been made to. The motion has been made to reconsider the vote by which we passed by 1157. All in favor of that motion, please vote aye. Signify by saying aye. Aye. Those like sign. And the motion, Mr. Norman moves, Howell seconds that the motion is to pass by indefinitely. So for
Senator Reeves to vote against it.
So if you want to vote against it,
Yeah.
you can pass it. So the motion is to PBI. If you want a PBI, you have to vote green.
Oh, extra commentary
Strike it out. Strike it again. Here. The motion is to pass by indefinitely. If you want to pass it by indefinitely, vote green. If you don't want to pass it by indefinitely, vote green.
6, no, 7.
6, no, 7, the motion is defeated.
Mr. Chairman, I move the bill report.
All right, the motion is that 1157 be reported. All right, the motion is to report. That was my idea.
6, no, 7.
The motion to report fails. So it's not PBI, but it's not reported.
Thank you, Chairman.
All right, Senator Norman, 1312. All right, and there is a substitute, Senator Hanger moves, Senator Ruff seconds. The substitute be agreed to. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. Substitute is agreed to and enforced. Senator Norman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the ethics bill that is the amendment to nature substitute, which comes about as a result of a lot of effort on behalf of the Ethics Commission. I'm trying to think of maybe Senator Howell can help me have it expedited because I have 4 pages of proposed changes in the ethics bill. That's the bad news. Senator Locke is looking at me like, what in the world are you doing, Thomas? Blessedly,
That's not a new look, Senator.
I know, but I'm not getting used to it. I would say actually most of the proposed amendments are not significant, and I'll try to just run through and highlight some of them for you. There were changes dealing with what constitutes a relative. We now include son-in-laws and daughter-in-laws. We've amended the term of gift, which would certainly be of some interest to it. It also excludes any meal provided for attendance at official meetings of the Commonwealth, political subdivision, boards, commission authorities, or other entities and charitable organizations. It further modifies the term gift to exclude gifts that may be given on special occasions where there's a bona fide personal relationship, such as birthdays and things currently prohibited is $20 or more. There's another one that excludes gifts if you receive it pursuant to your private, professional, occupation, or voluntary services. It modifies the definition of widely attended events to limit those to where there are 25 expected attendees and are members of a public, civic, or charitable organization no longer would have a sharing or common interest to be included in that. It requires lobbyist registrations to be filed electronically, current on lobbyist disclosures. Last year there were about 2,200 registrations, and only 20 of them were submitted on paper, so we're requiring that. Oh boy, I'll skip requires that when the lobbyist ceases working for a principal for any reason whatsoever, there must be notification on that. It allows the lobbyist principal, the lobbyist to officially fire a lobbyist at any time, and that would have to be timely disclosed. It allows the exclusion from the general prohibition on certain contracts, and this is kind of an ancillary to Senator Hanger's situation, a little bit different, where one of the parties has a personal interest to apply to cities or towns, and adds counties in there that have a population of less than 10,000. It lowers the 10,000 limit in the code. It was 10,000, but it was lowered to 5,000 in 2014 for defining personal interest on that. It deals with the disclosure forms that we were made 6 weeks after the filing deadline. Unfortunately, there's no easy method with that to keep a rolling track on it, and so we're trying to find a more equitable date for disclosure on that. I know all of you have exhaustively read this bill and don't have any questions, but I can tell you of all of the proposals that are in there, there's 5 that have evolved that were not direct recommendations of the commission, but have evolved since we took these things up. And I'll point those out to you just because they were not out of the commission. The first one was the definition of gifts. That's just come about as a result of an amendment that came out of the House of Delegates where we attend a reception, and it's not a deal, but it's a stand-up kind of finger food thing that would not be considered a gift. Adds lobbyist statements of gifts made during the regular session in 3 weeks after signing die would have to be disclosed. That's another one that's percolated up. There's a provision for the immunity or good faith reliance on a written informal advice from the council. So that would be a reliance one that did not come out. Changing the filing dates from January the 15th to February the 1st on lobbying statements. That's kind of it.
All right.
Stand up here for the next 2 hours and go on.
Sir Norman, so this is the amalgamation of what the Ethics Commission that you and Senator Howell sit on have been working through over the summer, the way the statute was written and trying to pick up some of the inconsistencies and make sure it was clear, in the addition of the 5 items that you added in at the end. Is that fair summary?
I think that's reasonable, and if you want a really excruciating detail, I'll invite Stuart up here who can walk you through it.
We do not want to do that. I see him lurking in the background there, but Mr. Chairman, Senator Norman, one of the questions that was asked that under the original bill, there was a pretty substantive physical impact. I don't know if Stuart might be able to speak to that, because I don't know that with this substitute we're at the same place.
Mr. Chairman, I did want Stuart up here on this. As I came in, I was handed a fiscal impact statement, which I am highly suspect of, from the State Board of Elections and the 248 plus. I'm looking at that, elections, the State Board of Elections, which is under some consideration during the budgetary process. Said it will require 1 additional FTE to administer. We're talking about the electronic filing here. 1 full-time employee to administer the program, which has a salary of $88,000, annual hosting cost of $24,000, and to a one-time development cost of almost $250,000, to which I say baloney.
Chairman, I'm assuming that those costs are to a system that we've already created. We're just going to add different users to have access to that system.
I think that's kind of reasonable.
Senator Oden,
I somehow suspect that that was maybe misdirected. I think it was probably the same thing that was attached to 3 or 4 of my bills, so.
I now feel your opinion, Senator Overstreet.
Mark.
Is there anything you want to add, Stuart?
Well, let me get to Mark and then we'll come to Stuart.
Oh, I'm sorry, excuse me.
Mr. Chairman, I believe in Stuart would echo these comments. The bill does not require electronic filing with the department. It could be on paper. So there is a system cost. There is no service to use an electronic system.
Looks like we just saved a couple $100,000 right there. All right, any member have any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Howland.
I just wanted to comment as the other Senate member of the Ethics Commission. We have gotten so many people confused and trying to deal with this very convoluted bill. We didn't actually go after the whole construct, but we are trying to make it more easily understandable, because I at least am very concerned that someone is going to inadvertently get caught up in this. They're trying to do the right thing, they just don't understand what the bill is doing. And for anybody in the public who questions that opinion, I'd invite you to read the bill. I do hope we pass this, because it will make it somewhat easier to follow.
Sir,
Mr. Chairman, if I could just follow up on that a little bit.
Sir,
I've been pretty outspoken in my view as we embarked on this ethics reform, and I've got to say I've been involved in it since the beginning, and it is one of the most convoluted pieces of legislation I think I've ever dealt with. And Senator Howell really summed up my major concern, is that because it is so convoluted and so pervasive, that I remain concerned that someone is inadvertently going to get caught up in this. And even though you can make certain inquiries of the commission for opinions, that I think all of us, that have been involved in going back since Senator Howell and Delegate Gilbert, continue to be amazed at what we passed and the interpretations that are being given to it. And we really are trying desperately to unravel some of this, not in backing up on it, but to try to establish some clarity so that legislators and lobbyists like can figure out what we're trying to do here.
all right, Senator Reeves, quickly, because we're.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, and this can either go to Senator Howell or Senator Norman. I think there's some confusion. I think I understand probably the reason that the date February 1st was chosen. Is that probably because whoever's going through this can't get everybody done by the 15th and thereafter, or why was that date chosen?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Stuart Toe with the State Ethics Council. Senator Reeves, you're exactly correct. We've discovered just from this past time that 2 weeks is a little bit too compressed, and our thought is giving a month would be a little bit easier for people to make their filing deadlines. It won't be so crushed coming right after the holidays and as you're getting ready for session to start.
So, Mr. Chairman, just a quick follow-up, Stuart. So members have January 10, and anybody that's an employee has February 1st, so we have 2 dates. Is that correct?
That is not correct, Senator Reeves. Everyone will have, for their filing, it will be February 1. The January 10th date is lobbyists will be giving you a notice of all the things they've given to you, so you can have that before February 1.
All right. Any other questions?
I have one simple question.
Senator Carrico.
What constitutes an individual in a bona fide relationship?
You need to consult your lawyer on that.
I would say that unfortunately.
That's the problem with this bill.
Senator Carrico, this makes it clearer, but the bona fide issue is not new to this particular change to that statute.
Once again, it's a confusing bill.
Less so after this if it passes. So, Senator, with that, committee operates on motions.
Move the bill be reported, substitute, natural substitute.
Senator Hanger moves, Senator Howell seconds, that SB 1312 in the nature of substitute be reported. Please proceed to vote on your device.
Twelve, no, zero.
Motion was reported 12-0. Thank you, Senator Norman, Senator Howell, for working on this diligently and making it better than where we were. All right, Senator Evan, I see you right there. This is the last of the conflicts of interest bills.
Yes, sir.
Senator Evan, you've heard the conversation in the overarching bill that there are some changes being done to the local government and filings going forward. I think that addresses what you were trying to ask the commission.
No, it does not, but I did want to thank Sarah Norman, because I did enjoy reading this bill in its entirety last night, but I'm not looking forward to reading the substitute. But thank you, members of the committee. So, no, this as I think we discussed, Mr. Chairman, allows for about four things. It deals with the local government officials or employees for the council to study whether they should accept them electronically rather than the paper format they do, and whether there should be a procedure for the public to review those forms. And I think you and I had discussed, and Mr. Petto and I had discussed, whether this calls for a study, and I don't care if it's a letter to you all or a briefing of you all, but I just think it's worth some consideration as to whether that eventually can be accomplished.
Senator Evan, I think maybe because some of the concepts that you were trying to address, I think that people are working on those concepts, and maybe a letter that sent to the commission. You have our two representatives here before you right now, and even ones directly to the two of them, I think Mr. Petto might be the appropriate way to get this handled. That would be great. And with that, Senator Hanger moves and Senator Ruff seconds that SJR be passed by indefinitely, and that information will be transmitted. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. All right, we're going to try to move very quickly through this through the rest of these so finance can meet. Senator Marsden, Senate Bill 840. It's renaming the Ethics Commission, the Commission on Civic Education. And Senator Marsden will remove that date to 2019 instead of 2020. So Senator Hanger moves that the bill be amended instead of 2020, it be 2019. All in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. That motion is that Senate Bill as amended 840 be reported. All in favor of that motion, please vote on your device. Everybody voted? So how? And that bill's reported 14-0.
Thank you, Mr. Brody. Pays off.
Yes. All right. Got Senator Ruff. This is Senate Bill 869 and extends the sunset date on the Alzheimer's disease and related disorder commission. Similar bills moving down the hall. Senator Hanger moves and Senator Wagner seconds that Senate Bill 869 be reported. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that motion, please vote on your device. Ayes 14, no 0, and that is reported. Senator Peterson. Not here. Senator Ruff, Senate Bill 949, and that is a substitute. And Senator Hanger moves, Senator Obenshain seconds the substitute be agreed to. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, like sign.
Chairman, that form is the House passed. Changes. So, all right.
And so this is just requiring them to work for coordinated development and delivery of workforce training. Is that correct?
That's correct. Changes come with the
none, Senator Ruff moves, Senator Hanger seconds, that Senate Bill in 949 in the nature of substitute be reported. Proceed to vote on your request. That's important. Senator Lott. That is reported 14 to 0. Thank you, Senator Ruff. Next on our list, Senator DeSteph, Senate Bill 952.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Senate Bill 952 is a pretty simple one. Unfortunately, it's one of the ones we never should have to put in here. But it states that any employee or person serving in an appointed position who knowingly and willfully makes any material false statement or representation to a member of the General Assembly who is in the course of conducting an inquiry or investigation in their official capacity on or behalf of any committee or subcommittee of the House or Senate is guilty of a Class 1 misdemeanor. It's a Class 1 misdemeanor because I didn't think I could get a little offense into this one, so I decided to ratchet it back a little bit.
All right, this is Senator DeSteph. I know this is one that you felt particularly passionate about over the last couple of years, and you brought similar, I don't know if it's the exact same language, but similar type language to us before, and I think everybody understands your frustration, but there's been some reluctance by this committee to create a new criminal offense just because of your status as being a member, even though it's very frustrating when people do not tell us the truth, but there might be other avenues with which to deal that. Some documents that come out on Sunday evenings might be one of those ways, or other pieces of legislation, but we do all share your frustration.
Well, thank you very much. I guess I know where this was going.
Mr. Chairman, I suspect we may have lobbyists on different sides of every issue before the General Assembly swearing out warrants against each other.
That might not be a bad thing. So committee operates on motions. All right, the motion is to pass by indefinitely Senate Bill 952. Your device is open. Motion is to pass by indefinitely. Stanley. Ayes 13, noes 1. You're picking up some votes, so next year come on back and do another shot. Senator DeSteph, since you're standing up there, we'll go ahead and take 972. And I believe you have a substitute. Senator Ruff moves, Senator Hanger seconds the substitute to Senate Bill 972. All in favor of the substitute being agreed to, signify by saying aye. Opposed, like sign, and that is before us. And Senator DeSteph, if I understand correctly, the substitute in essence indicates that if a member of the General Assembly requests information from the state agency, it is the same as a FOIA request.
That's correct, and unless it's unless there were records protected by law, not to be disclosed. And there's a whole bunch of examples of that, or a court order. So I think we've covered all the issues on both sides of that.
All right. Anybody from the committee have any questions from Senator DeSteph? You pretty much track the language out of the Freedom of Information statute in crafting the substitute.
Mr. Chairman, that is correct, except we gave, instead of the, I think it was 5 or 7 days, we provided 14 days, 14 working days.
Any member have any questions?
Am I understanding this correctly, that if any one of the 140 of us ask any state agency or employee for an answer to something, they have to stop everything
No, ma'am, that's not
and get
correct.
it back within 14 days?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Senator.
It would be the equivalent of any citizen or any of us asking for information under the Freedom of Information Act. This just does it as a legislative request and provides a little more time. But it does discuss, if we ask for information that's provided to us and anything is sensitive, then we wouldn't disclose it for further than just our office.
Sir, now, under a FOIA request, if an agency gets one, they do have to stop and deal with those there. The clock does tick. This actually, if anything, gives a little more time than what would normally be allocated to an individual citizen asking for that same information.
Mr. Chairman.
Senator Sasslaw.
Out of curiosity, why do we need this?
So, Mr. Chairman, if I may, there have been multiple members of the General Assembly asking for information from multiple state agencies that have never been responded to. Some of them, they don't even get the information back, or they get letters saying they were not going to provide it. No. And I don't believe a member of the General Assembly should ever have to file a Freedom of Information Act request and then take an agency to court.
I gotta tell you, I've been here a while, I've never had that happen once, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, there's at least one member of the dais up there that has had that happen to him.
Well, I see some people standing behind you. Is anybody? You don't have to speak, but I just want to make sure you have the opportunity to speak if you so desire.
Good afternoon, Nathan Green from Commonwealth Attorneys Association, Your Honor. Actually, Mr. Chairman, I was just handed the substitute. I'm trying to get through it now. We did have opposition, trying to make sure that the language that was added addresses those concerns or not. I just haven't had a chance to catch up.
All right, everybody, any members of the city have any additional information? Any questions?
Mr. Chairman.
Sir Reeves.
I just have a question. It's kind of a weird one. So, we were discussing over here, if you remember the General Assembly as a defense counsel, and let's say there was an incident with use of force in the state police and you were contemplating trying to get information. Is there a conflict of interest in here, some kind of way to carve that out? Many of you all are attorneys and represent various people. I'm just wondering, just a little bit of
Mr. Chairman, if I may, if you look at line 13 of the bill, in 14 it says, by a member of the General Assembly acting in performance of the member's official legislative duties. So this would not apply because they're doing their legislative duties. It would be as a defense counsel.
All right, committee operates on motions. Sir, Seth, why don't we get you just, I do want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to be heard. It looks like they need a moment to finish looking at that, so if you don't mind holding on, and I'm going to do Senator Chapin's bill, which will only take a few moments, and we'll come right back. Senator Chapin, so we're going to suspend that bill and go on to Senate Bill 969. Senator Chapin, this is a bill that you were asked to put in after working with legislative services to ensure that legislation drafted, enact laws being enacted from 1989 through current for the property of the requester, just to make sure that as we go forward, we know who the bill requests are to deal with any issues. Because legislative services is made up of a group of attorneys, and we just want to clarify what that those rules are. Is that accurate?
That is accurate, Mr. Chairman. This came as a result of a case that the Supreme Court decided in September of this last year, style Edwards versus it brought forth the issue that there was conflict between a decision of the Supreme Court, Chief Supreme Court, regarding legislative privilege and the current statute, 30-28.18. So this bill simply was amend that statute to make very abundantly clear that the documents, all the papers, all the notes, everything there that the requester, the legislator, or the requester filed with the division is in fact the property of the
any members of the committee have any questions? I see some people standing behind you, Senator Chafin. Anybody, any members of the public wish to speak?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I'm Megan Ryan with Coalition for Open Government, and I just would like to say that this would take away an important tool that leaves both the public, researchers, and future legislators in the dark about how and why bills came to be. Currently, because Virginia does not keep an official legislative history, there are only 4 ways really to get at any kind of information for historical research or for any other reason. Legislative studies, videotapes of floor sessions, other resources like news articles, and the Division of Legislative Services currently says the 4th way is through the DLS legislative draft file. This would take away one of the 4 ways that they could monitor that, and we oppose the bill. Thank you.
Mr. Bucci.
Mr. Chairman, the member can consent to those files being released. That is the case for files before 1989, which is still a policy.
So everybody thought that this was the rule after the court case. The court said before 89 is one way, after 89 is a different way. And so this would restore it to where everybody thought it was for all the years. Okay. All right. The bill is before you. Motion, Senator Reeves moves, Senator Norman seconds that Senate Bill 969 be reported. Please record your votes on the device. That bill is agreed to 13-0. Thank you, Senator. All right. Looks like Senator Scott still back there working. Senator Vogel, Senate Bill 1307. Seconds the amendments, and they are on page 2, line 61 after extent, strike the remainder of line 61 and all of lines 62 and 63.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
On line 75 after exist, strike for each registered entry D and reinsert capital D. And then on line 128, after the ending paragraph, add an enactment clause that, number 2, that effective no later than July 1, 2018, the VEDA agencies shall assist localities with the procurement of an online software solution for the purposes of allowing localities to maintain a searchable fiscal transparency website that shall include checkbook information for expenditures and revenues at the local level. Such procurement shall be in consultation with the Virginia Association of Counties and Virginia Municipal League. Auditor of Public Accounts shall assist as needed with the requirements of the procurement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
All in favor of those amendments, please signify by saying aye. Those like sign, those amendments are agreed to. Senator Vogel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for doing all that work for me. Effectively, those amendments were included at the request of the Auditor of Public Accounts, who was incredibly helpful in assisting me with this bill. What you have before you is basically working in collaboration with what the Commonwealth of Virginia already does. This would just make it cleaner and easier, and it effectively does an online checkbook. It's a transparency and good government mission here to make it more clear and easier for the public to access our budget. And the adjustments that were made in the amendments that you just adopted were at the request of the Auditor of Public Accounts. It makes it something that would be accessible to localities, and so that's effectively what the bill does.
Great. All right, any member of the committee have any questions for Senator Vogel on her bill tonight? Any members of the public would like to opine support or support, lack of support? Come on down.
Mr. Chairman, I'm Mary Jo Fields of the Virginia Municipal League. Our only concern would be a number of localities already had their checkbooks online, and if they had to follow someone else's software, there can be just additional expenses in that. So not being aware of the amendment until now, we just are a little bit concerned about the mayor shall, so that's.
If it doesn't, I'm sure you'll come back. You've got a couple days to converse with us about it.
I'll make sure I coordinate with her, but I think what we've done should solve her problem.
Okay. All right, bill is before you as amended. Motion has been made that SB 1307 be reported. Please vote on your device. All right, the bill passes 14-0. Thank you, Senator. All right, Secretary Steph, are you ready? Y'all, they're still talking? All right, keep moving. Senator Edwards, Senate Bill 1447. This removes the president of Bluefield College from the Board of Trustees of Broder Higher Education. Appears that you're good to go unless somebody in the public wishes to speak against it. Anybody in the public wishes to speak against 1447?
This was at the request of Bluefield College.
The motion has been made, probably second, to report 1447. Please vote on your device. All in favor? 3-2, 13-0. That bill passes.
Next we'll take up 1555.
Mr. Chairman, this authorizes the Board of Trustees of Jamestown, Yorktown to enter into contracts for facilities, structures, spaces, personal property under control of the foundation as they're dealing with ways to be creative and earn resources without costing the state any money.
Been moved and seconded, Senate Bill 1555 regarding the Jamestown Yorktown Foundation to be reported. Any discussion? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Sorry about that. Push the little green button. It looks like it passes to me. How many people have voted for it? 14-0. All right. Next is Senate Bill 1588.
Mr. Chairman, this is there is an offer amendment, and that will be on line 18 after direct costs incurred by the clerk of the Senate, clerk of the House of Delegates, or Department of General Services.
Senator Hanger moves and Senator Rogers seconds the amendment on line 18. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, the bill is adopted.
So, Mr. Chairman, this deals with giving the ability to sell surplus property of the General Assembly building as that replacement project moves forward.
Any member of the committee have any questions?
I include my desk.
Yes.
You don't need a desk.
Yeah, I mean, can I keep my chair?
Got it.
Mr. Chairman, I'll tell the committee this is the same process they used when the Capitol was reconstructed, and when that surplus property was sold.
Senator Stanton moves and Senator Wagner seconds. The report is Senate Bill 1588. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed. Oh, push the button, sorry. Senator Howard, would you like to vote? How do you use these? 14-0, that is reported.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Senator Peterson. I understand that on Senate Bill 1593, you wish to make a motion. Actually, I think it was maybe supposed to be handled in P&E, but it did not occur in P&E. So if you're requesting that it be struck, we can take care of it. All right. The motion is Senator Roman moves and Hanger seconds that Senate Bill 1593 be stricken. Please vote on your device. And then
this goes back to the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority, which was formed almost a dozen years ago. And one of the issues that's been with it is that all the jurisdictions in Northern Virginia are represented that own their own streets, except for towns, and towns own their own streets in Northern Virginia. Town of Vienna, Town of Herndon, Town of Leesburg, a couple other smaller ones. There's 5 incorporated towns that own their own streets. And they've always sought representation on NVTA. They've never gotten it. And this bill comes out a little bit differently. There's some non-legislative members that are appointed to the NVTA. And what we seek to do here, this is a request of the Town of Vienna, is to make one of the non-legislative citizen members a member from a town, which is allocated funds pursuant to 33.2-319. So I believe MBTA is, whoever would make that appointment would choose one of the towns. I always get the feedback that this would somehow cause the end of Western civilization and or the loss of the bond rating, whichever would happen first. I've never quite understood that. I mean, I don't see you can add non-legislative members. I don't see why this would have any effect on that, but that is one of the arguments.
I see a number of people, I don't know if they're for you or against you.
I'm sure if they're lining up there against me, because there's no one here from Vienna, except me.
All right, come on up and please tell us briefly who you are and for or against.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Martin Noe, the chairman of the Northern Virginia Transportation Authority. And Senator Peterson's correct. I'm here to oppose the bill. This is an issue that's come up a number of times over the years, including back when the authority was created in 2007 when 3202 was passed, and in 13 when 2313 was passed. The challenge we have, and we've been advised by multiple attorneys on this, is that because there are 5 towns seeking representation, the legislation calls for 1 seat that would rotate among those towns. We create a one-man, one-vote problem, and there's constitutional questions associated with this. That it's likely that in a bond validation suit, a judge would frown upon that on the basis that someone from the town of Vienna might serve in that, but the people of Dumfries and Purcellville weren't given an opportunity to vote for that elected official. All of the other elected officials that represent the cities and counties of the authority were chosen by the people of their jurisdiction. A town representative, unless you created 5 voting positions, which would create a separate set of problems, you wouldn't have a situation that meets constitutional muster and would almost certainly be called into question the next time we have to go to a bond validation suit. There's other issues, but I recognize the committee's on a fast time schedule. But this is something that the authority has opposed for some time, not because we're against giving the town's representation, but because we're against putting the General Assembly in a tough position.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, Noel Dominguez, on behalf of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, I think the chairman knows that quite well, and also. Thank you.
Anybody else wish to speak for or against? All right. You can make one more point.
I'll make one more point. Listen, I know the merits, this is an uphill struggle, but this is not a one-man, one-vote situation. I mean, Fairfax City has a seat, and so does Fairfax County, has 20,000 people versus 1.2 million people. So the one-man, one-vote standard went out the window a while ago. If you want to just vote against it, vote against it, but let's not pretend this is a constitutional issue. Thank you.
All right, we'll help you out. Committee operates on motion. We're accommodating or.
I move to PBI.
The motion has been made by Senator Howell and seconded. Thank you, Reeve. Seconded that Senate bill be passed by indefinitely. 1-to-1. Please vote on your device.
The over-under is 4 votes. I got it. It's the big.
Oh, right on the number is a push. The motion is, the bill is passed by indefinitely 11-4. Senator Obenshain, Senate Bill 1363, we passed by that when you were, I believe, next door. Secretary of Transportation to study the statewide address database. Yes.
Chairman, members of the committee, we have a number of online databases where we expect people to change their address, and the number 1 place is Department of Motor Vehicles. But people do it with the Department of Taxation, changing their address. What this is asking is simply the the Secretary of Transportation, we've got a line amendment, I think, to allow him to make a designee, offer a designee to do it, to convene a task force to look at sharing information concerning changes of address so that we can utilize the information that we've got. The line amendment, and if I haven't given it to staff, I'm sorry, but it's page 1, line 12, after transportation, insert or designee.
Senator, Ogunṣeyi moves, Senator Ruff seconds that we add in after Secretary of Transportation or designee. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and that motion is agreed to.
And in the long run, Mr. Chairman, it's my expectation that if the task force comes up with recommendations, that we're going to be saving money across the board by virtue of this shared data, and it's certainly going to reduce the burden and inconvenience for taxpayers and voters in the Commonwealth of Virginia.
Any members of the committee have any questions? Any members of the public wish to speak? Hearing none, committee operates on motions. Motion's been made and properly seconded that Senate Bill SJR SB 1363. Yes. So the SB 1363 passes 14-1. All right, we're going to y'all. Is there white smoke, or you agree to disagree? We're going to go back to.
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, I believe there's white smoke at this point in time if we do one quick line amendment. And on line 23, if we add.
This is Senate Bill 972. You have a substitute in front of you. Line
23, what we've done is we've added Department of Corrections, so 2.2-3705.2, so anything in the Department of Corrections that has their security procedures or proprietary mixtures for certain things, all that's covered. And then the government, will add also in 2.2-37.05.7, subsection 2, which is the government's working paper exemption. So those will be not subject to disclosure. Under this, will be excluded from disclosure.
All right. Senator Ruff moves that on line 23 we add in 30 code sections as so it would be after 2.2-3706 we'd add comma or 2.2-3705.2 or subdivision 2 of 2.2-3705.7. All in favor of that amendment, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign, and that is agreed to. So now the bill before you as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank the FOIA Council for not just memorizing, but showing everybody the specifics and helping work through this.
All right. Anybody, any of the people behind you still unhappy?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman. Christy Wright, Office of the Executive Secretary. And honestly, I don't know if we're unhappy or not. I don't know if this is intended to apply to the courts and court records. Court records are already excluded from FOIA because they're public and they're open, unless they're sealed or made confidential by statute. And so when I read this, it says if it does in fact apply to court records, they would be required to provide the records, and notwithstanding the FOIA, which means notwithstanding your exclusion under FOIA, they would not be subject to redaction. And so I'm just not certain. So what I'm thinking of are juvenile records, mental health records, ECOs, TDOs, mental commitments that are by law confidential, victim impact statements, adoption, surrogacy records, all those sorts of things that I'm just concerned about. Like I said, I'm not sure in reading the definition, I'm not sure that courts would be in there, but I would have a concern of that overriding. And if it were to redact a record that would otherwise be made confidential, Like, you just get a sheet with everything marked in black, and I don't know, I mean, that would just be something for the clerk to do and really wouldn't be of value.
Thank you very much. Any member of the committee have questions? Senator Stewart, you look perplexed at that.
Well, yeah, and because I'm here late, because we have another committee across the hall. Just out of curiosity, is this going through the FOIA council by any chance?
I do not know the answer.
I'll concur with the FOIA council, Mr. Chairman. The FOIA council has not actually taken a position on the bill. We're just trying to help out also with the LS.
Have they looked at, has it been the subject of the discussion?
Did you bring it before the council?
I don't know, I think Maria did, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, the council staff has seen it, but the council itself has not reviewed it.
Senator Stewart, are you suggesting that maybe this is something we could do, but it needs to go in front of the council to make sure it's vetted properly?
Mr. Chairman, that's what it's set up to do. There's a FOIA council, and it's very well staffed. It has good members on it that represent all parts of the community, and they're smart. They look at these things and they vet them thoroughly.
Just Steph, are you okay with having the FOIA council taking a look at this and coming back, making sure we didn't miss anything?
Sure, absolutely. I don't want to miss anything here, and but there's a focus that I'm trying to hit here, and I'm okay with FOIA council going through that.
Mr. Chairman,
Senator Howell.
I have no problem with it going to the FOIA council, but if they are looking at this, I'd like them to look at whether or not there's a problem. Like Senator Saslaw, who's been here for ages more than me. I've been here 25 years and I've never, ever, ever had any state agency not get back very quickly with any request I've had.
So with that, Mr. Chairman, I think you have to make a motion to pass it by, which I'm happy to do, and suggest that it go to the FOIA council.
So the motion is to pass by Senate Bill 792, and we'll send a letter asking the FOIA council to take a look at the topic. All in favor, or that's a bill, so you have to vote. Motion is to pass by indefinitely. Stanley. The motion is to agree to this pass by indefinitely. We'll send a letter to the FOIA council on the topic.
Chairman, members of the committee, thank you very much.
All right, flip to the back page, we're getting close. We'll pick up the faster things and then do the next two. Senator Newman, you have a Senate Joint Resolution 300 confirming appointments by the Senate Committee on Rules to the Tobacco Commission and the Virginia Commonwealth Health System Authority Board of Directors.
Chairman, I imagine everyone has basically seen that resolution, no surprises in it, and I would move that resolution be agreed to.
All in favor of that motion? Hold on, there are a number, these are all members appointed to this, and because of the types of entities they are, if you're one of the members on that commission, we're determining whether you need to abstain.
Mr. Chairman, have we voted on this?
No, we haven't, we're gonna strike that and re-vote. So, Love, Lasso, Stanley, and Karen. So, okay, votes, that was stricken. Advisory Panel, which is our former colleague, Frederick Whale. So enrollment moves and Hanger seconds that SJR 105 be agreed to. Meeting, because this is a confirmation we need to vote. Please press your device. And that is SJR 105 is reported. Next we have, there are two appointments that have recently come up that we don't typically take these up, but because of certain situations they need to be filled more expeditiously. One is the Veterans Services Foundation Board of Trustees. Patrick Webb resigned from the board due to some personal considerations, and the nomination is for former Senator Walter Stoss to fill his unexpired term ending June of 2018.
We'll make that motion.
Motion is to appoint Walter Stoss to fill the unexpired term of the Veterans Services Board of Trustees in 2018. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign, and that's agreed to. The other is the Dr. Martin Luther King Memorial Commission. Senator Stanley had been on that commission for a number of years, and Senator McClellan had been on that commission, was the chairman of that commission. She moved here. Senator Stanley graciously wanted her to be able to continue in that leadership role of the commission, and he resigned last week. And the motion would be to appoint Senator McClellan to fill that term coincident with her term of office.
Mr. Chairman, I make that motion to make Senator McClellan now a member of that commission as the Senator.
So the motion is to approve Senator McClellan to that commission. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, and that is agreed to, and she's appointed. Senator Serville, SJR 241, back to page 13. This is, we got two more after you. So Senator Serville, I know you went to the P&E committee with this, and it's come up for, this amendment has been before the Senate for at least the last number of years that I remember, and somebody did a little bit of research after that has been through a number of times, and it became apparent that there is an archivist of the United States, and one of the jobs that archivist does is maintaining records of amendments that are currently pending before the states. Archivist has opined that there are 4 amendments, which I previously was unaware, pending before the states, and that is a Congressional Apportionment Amendment from 1789, a Titles of Nobility Amendment that was approved in 1810, the Corwin Amendment, which was approved in 1861, and the Child Labor Amendment, which was approved in 1924. And this amendment, which I know people have very strong feelings on one way or another, is not one of the amendments that the archivist indicates is presently before the states. And I know that we have a long history, some of them have been my own, and some of them, I know a number of them have been Senator Hanger's, of not memorializing Congress with our ideas. And because this is not actually an amendment that's before, it really works out to be the form of memorializing Congress. It's just not one of the things that
Can I address that?
You can address it expeditiously.
Got it. I was just pointing out this has been ratified by 6 times now, by the Senate 6 times. But in terms of what you just said, Congress actually has the authority to extend the ratification period. They've done that. They did it for ERA once in 1978 when they actually extended the ratification deadline. Number 1. Number 2, I point out that other states have continued to ratify ERA after the fact. Illinois last did in 2003. But I also note that the Commonwealth of Virginia has ratified 2 different amendments well after they were ratified by the other states. We ratified the poll tax, the 24th Amendment, 8 years after it was ratified. The General Assembly went and ratified it anyway, even though it had already been adopted. We did the 27th Amendment 203 years after it was proposed by Congress in 1992. But the Constitution itself says that an amendment has to be ratified within a reasonable period of time when it's proposed. Given the archivist seems to think that 200 and some years is okay with those others, I would think that Congress can come in and extend that deadline. And I think if we were to send them that message and ratify it here through through here, it would send the message that there's enough states to ratify it, and they could retroactively come in and do it. I think the Attorney General wrote an opinion which said that there's a legal question open as to whether or not Congress could actually still do that. So I think there is legal authority out there that says it can still be ratified retroactively or the period extended retroactively. And I believe there's an article from the William and Mary Journal of Law and Women that was written about 2 or 3 years ago, which proposed that this thing is still alive and could be revived by Congress if so chooses.
Senator Servell, I'll tell you, if Congress had extended the deadline past 1982, which is the deadline they put in the Supreme Court, had not ruled later on in 1982 that the amendment had failed adoption, I might agree with you, but those things have not occurred. So if they do come back and do it, then it would be properly before us in the form of amendment, but it is not currently, it is a memorialization. So with that, Senator Norman moves and Senator Newman seconds that we, because this is what we do with all memorializations, pass it by indefinitely. And it is a voice vote. That's true. Correct. It's memorialization, so it's a voice vote.
It's a resolution retreating as
It's
a
not a constitution. It's a voice vote. All in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign.
No.
Senator Lockman. All right, then, thank you, Senator Servell. Then last two, Senator Hanger and Senator Carrico. I know each of y'all have worked very hard throughout the year. I hear how hard that you've worked on two amendments. One, Senator Carrico is applying for a constitutional convention, and the other, Senator Hanger, calling for a amendment, a balanced budget amendment. And it's not that we should necessarily care what the other body does, but they have not moved these forward this year, and with a new federal administration, after talking with all of y'all, I think the best course is for us not to take any action on these this year, and I'm sure that y'all will be back in full session when the House is able to deal with that. So Senator Carrico?
Yes.
So is that your understanding is that we're just not going to take any action on these two?
Right.
No, we're just not going to take any action on these two this year. And I'm sure that y'all have the opportunity to refile that. Sure. Next year. So, thank you. I think that, Madam Clerk, did we miss any numbers? Thank you for your attention in moving through an extensive document. That may arise.
What do you guys need to do? What do you need to do? We're gonna need to change